Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linox Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linox. Thank you for joining me today on this journey of self examination and identity architecture. For those of you that are going through this process with me uh, for yourself, for your sake, thank you. I think it's exciting. To tell you the truth, this is taking me into a route that I had never been. But it is most exciting, to learn about yourself, to go deep, to excavate, and to learn the depth of your essence, your aura, who you are, and to see how it builds your confidence and how it adds a depth of assertiveness. That's something that I could have never explained before this journey. If you see someone, or if you know of someone that is going through this whole process of returning home to self, celebrate that person. If that person is you, honor yourself. Celebrate yourself, because I'm telling you, whatever season you are in, I know for me, this is, my seasons just evolve with everything that I learn about me. I call it a new season, because what happens is the old version of me, the old person of me is no more. I don't even recognize the person that I was a month ago, because of the things that I have learned. My friend, it is fascinating. I hope you are finding it as effective as I am, because and delightfully so. To me, there is no. I know I did I shared something before about the best relationship you can have is a relationship with yourself. When I wrote that whole piece, obviously I was going through my journey as well. But it's now that I am coming to understand me. And it really is fascinating, because guess what, my friend? It is all about you. And when I said once, I shared and I said, don't think it's, self-obsessed or self-absorbed. Well, I stand correctly. Yes, it is self-obsessed. Doesn't mean you're arrogant, and don't get all involved in those kind of definitions, or proud or whatever, but that you are obsessed to know the depth of who you are. Because what happens as you begin to evolve, you see, our nature is to be curious. It's like a baby. A baby is not, or a toddler, they're not taught curiosity. They are curious by nature. That's why, I think when they're like about 2, we call them the terrible twos. There's nothing terrible about the twos. They are just exploring. They are curious about everything, and they want to expand and enhance the things they know. And of course, for a baby, it's generally the things they know externally, what's this and the colors and the objects and all of that. But it never leaves us, my friend. The thing about us humans, as we evolve and grow with more years older, we stop being curious. And more so, we stop being curious about ourselves. What makes me tick? Why do I like this? Why don't I like that? Why do I feel this way? Or why don't I feel this way? We start asking questions about ourselves. With the kids, we would ask about the kids. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them? And so forth. I remember when I was in boarding school and I shared this before that I was expelled 3 times. I was being mischievous. And this was like very rigid religious boarding school. And I just could not conform to that rigidity. So I did a lot of stuff. Was me and 2 other uh, younger girls in our dorm. Among the women, there's a male and female dorm, and we were the 3 youngest, and we just used to do a lot of mischiefs. So they expelled me, and they expelled. Anyway, the point is, I was just so curious about things. Not only curious, of course, I was, you know, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, something around those lines. And, but I was still being very curious. And, when they sent me back to my country, and my parents, they went trying to investigate what is wrong with her. They thought something was wrong with me. They sent me to psychologists, psychiatrists, and all that kind of stuff to get me help. And then they realized there was nothing wrong with me. I was just, first of all, I just wanted to be back. I wanted to go back home to my environment that provided comfort and better functionality for myself. And once I was back home, I was fine. Things was fine. I did great in school, straight A's and things of that nature, and everything was fine. But the point is, as we grow, we stop being curious about ourselves. And what happens is that we start compromising because we don't know who we are, because we really haven't examined who we are. Because number one, you have a right to know who you are, and who you are forms your personality, and there are characteristics that are unique to you. There are qualities and attributes that are unique to you. Once you know all that, then of course you start learning and understanding your worth, the value that you bring to humanity, who you are. You start understanding your worth, and there comes confidence and assertiveness and knowing your likes, your dislikes, setting standards, and having certain things that you set boundaries to, and so forth. But that comes again once you gain confidence. Now, if that doesn't happen, what happens is that we begin to absorb and to not only invite but to accept things that we don't want, behaviors from people that we don't want. We call it breadcrumbs. You're breadcrumbing. You accept breadcrumbs from people, and you don't even. That's a language that I have assigned to those kind of behaviors. Someone said, "Well, I'll call you," and they don't call. Oh, let's get together, and that doesn't happen. Oh, I've been thinking about you, but they don't follow up. Oh, let's have lunch, but they don't commit. All those things are breadcrumbs, because I remember when I was I must have been in the 8th grade or something like that, 7th, 8th grade, and I had a teacher that I absolutely liked very much, and she liked me too. In terms of I was like one of her A students and things. And so one time she said to me that she said, "You know what? I'm gonna swing by your house and pick you up, and we're gonna go for a ride," something like that. And I believed her. I believed her. And it was like a weekday or something. Was it a weekday? Like a Friday, actually. And that particular Friday, I don't remember if she said exactly when, but the way it was communicated, it was like, we're going to do this now, because she enjoyed my company. And because, I used to ask all these questions that provoked, uh, stimulated a thought process. It was just more than questions. And and I remember I got dressed, put on my shorts, my top, and I was like all just dressed and ready for her to pick me up. And I waited outside my house, and I waited and I waited and I waited for her to drive by and drive by, and I waited all night, and she never did show up. Now, when I went back to school on Monday, and of course, I was just devastated. I was very disappointed. But when I went back to school on Monday, she said nothing. Now, the question is, did she forget? And I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything simply because I don't remember if she had said that particular night. But that's something that I would never forget. But it went uh, unresolved. There was never any type of explanation like I didn't, oh, I forgot or whatever. No, no, no. So what she said to, I'm just remembering this. So what she said to me about, I need to pick you up so that we can go have some ice cream and just go for a ride and so forth. Um, that was really just a matter of speech when she said that to me. In other words, a form of breadcrumbing. I don't think she meant any harm, but that happens. And when we start accepting things like that from people, breadcrumbing, what happens is that breadcrumbing is not something that is served to you all at once. Breadcrumbing is when you compromise certain things of yourself, whether it's a boundary, whether it's a standard, whether it's a situation where you change your priorities, things that the value that you assign to certain things or relationships, you compromise that, choices that you would normally make, and you compromise that, occasions where you would say no and you compromise and say yes. All of that is a drip, drip, drip that results in breadcrumbing. And what happens is that we take a seat to breadcrumbing, and I assign an acronym to that: SEAT. We sit down. S, we settle, right? We settle, right? E, we learn to endure. How many people are living lives enduring situations that is on situations that are unpleasant? I heard two women a podcast that was happening this week, and they were saying, and in Spanish is aguantar. And these were two women. They had situations in their relationships, I guess, and they were out of the relationships, and they were sharing how women, in their case, are trained, are conditioned to aguantar, which is to endure. That women are conditioned to endure. So, and I know in previous generations, not, I'm not talking Gen X, millennial, Gen Z. No, I'm talking about before that. Not even, well, even boomers, baby boomers, but before that, like the traditionalist generation, that is like women just did not, they were the generation of endure. And then the boomers, yeah, especially if you don't have any kind of self supporting system where you can make life on your own. And some people, they sometimes do crazy things like, some people that are a little more strong and rebellious, and they're like, no, I'm not gonna put up for the and they take their kids and they leave relationships. And not just women, this is for everybody. But I'm making reference to women because it was a podcast, two women talking, and the whole conversation was about aguantar, which is endure. So you've got as far as breadcrumbs, when you take a seat, you settle, you endure. You accept. You accept things and then normalize them. And then T, you tolerate. That's what happens when you take a seat in your own life. You don't really figure things out. You're not examining your own self and to know what you want, what you like. And again, it's not selfish. You've got to get that out of your mind and not think that it's selfish. It is not selfish. Just consider this. I mean, because if you don't prioritize yourself, you are prioritizing someone else. Again, it's not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong, but after a while you become aware. It's like psh, and it's like, wait a minute. If you don't, somebody's going to be a priority in your life. Not even your kids should be a priority. And of course, you understand what I mean. If you have a toddler, if you have a infant, obviously, but we're talking about grown adults. If you don't prioritize yourself in your life, in every situation, whether it's at work, whether it's in your family relations, you give respect and honor to everyone. But as far as priority, if you are tired, get some rest. If you are hungry, eat something. If you are bothered, clear up the situation with whomever. If you are angry, take a break. If you're not sure about something, figure it out. If you don't like something, say no. Don't do it. You have got to prioritize yourself at every level, in every phase. Because if you don't, even in relationships, I remember there was a time, as a matter of fact, if I go back and listen to some of these tapes, I remember there was a time in my life, in my relationship with my husband, it dawned on me, and this is as a result of this journey that I'm going through. I did not realize that my husband he didn't take anything. Let me just reframe that. I gave priority to my husband in every way, pretty much. And it wasn't something that I was denying myself or that I felt bad or no. I did it willingly, but not consciously. Big difference. I didn't see the need. I did not understand the need or the responsibility to myself to prioritize myself above all. And it was like the light just went off. And as I am going through this journey, it made me think. It's like all of our time together, it's like if we were going on vacation, yeah, excuse me, I would choose the countries, continents, whatever we would be doing on vacation, but I would give him the opportunity to decide where we wanted to go. And after a while, as a matter of fact, I remember one time I planned a ski vacation, and I wanted to do that so strongly, and he does not want cold at all. And I went and I planned this ski vacation, and I bought the clothes, I bought the right, I did a whole research on the clothing, the type of fabric to use in cold temperatures. And, because we were going to be like in temperatures like, 5 degrees or whatever, real cold. And so I bought a whole wardrobe and jackets and gloves. I bought, everything. I bought everything for us before I shared it with him. and and then I dropped the bomb. I shared it with him. I said, guess what? I said, this winter we're gonna, because generally during that time we would have gone to the beach at some place, in some island or whatever beach. But I said, we're gonna do a ski. We're gonna go to the destination that I chose. And he said, absolutely not. And I said, well, I already have everything booked. So I said, I can cancel it, or uh, we'll lose all the money, because I had hotels, I had activities, lift, car rental, airline tickets. I had everything already arranged. I had jackets, the ski pants. I had everything. I had bought everything, because in my mind, that's what we were going to do. That is what I wanted to do. And so we had a little spat. Because, he said, that I don't like the cold, and blah, 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 blah. And I almost knew that was going to happen. But in my mind, I thought, this is what I want. And that was like way before I even came into this whole thing of journey of self-discovery. And yeah, because that was probably about 2 years ago. And so we kind of paused for a little bit, because he was mad as hell. I mean, well, just disappointed, mad, because if he said we were definitely not going, then all of that money that I paid and invested in the planning and all that, we would have lost all of that money. And so it was almost like, but I made that decision because I wanted to do that. So anyway, we did decide to go, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of the best vacation that we have ever had. It was like one of the best, because it was new to us. We generally during the winter time, we don't, we wouldn't travel to a ski destination, or someplace where it's snowing, because again, he doesn't like the cold. But I like the cold. But it's not even about the cold. I wanted to ski. I wanted to go to a ski resort, and I wanted to do some things in an environment where there's snow. As a matter of fact, I remember we went up to this mountain. We were 12,000 feet above sea level. It was amazing. And we have pictures and memories to, the receipts to remind us of what a wonderful time we had. And that was good. But the point is, I made that decision that time, but it was just out of a determination that I wanted to go, and that's what we were going to do. And we did, and we had a wonderful time. We had a really good time driving from one ski resort to another. And then I remember I had made a reservation to do the what do you call it? The jet skis. And what happened? We went at like a 3 o'clock. It was like a group, and we went at 3 o'clock. Well, at the time, that was it was filled up, no room. So I booked it for the 7 o'clock in the morning, and the more we thought of it, there, booked it and paid for it and all that. And the more we thought of it, my husband is like, you know what, this is not something that I'm comfortable with. I don't think we need to do this. And then, we wound up losing that money because we didn't do that. And I respected that because we were able to do a lot of the other stuff that I had booked and planned and arranged and all that. But that was something that I wanted to do. So it's not, when I say I gave my husband priority and everything, yeah, and I did it willingly, but certain things, if I determined that I want to do this, then of course I we would go on with it, even with a little spat, but we did. But when I became consciously aware that in every other way, he was my priority. I made him the priority in my life. And I don't regret it. That's where I was at the time. And again, as I said, it's not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong. That is just my mindset. It's just now that I am so consciously aware of me, my worth, my value. And you know what has happened? When you come to know yourself the way we are growing and evolving in this journey, you really give your best to someone else. And people see you differently. They see you with different lenses. As a matter of fact, I invite you to change the lens with which you view yourself. Now, the world is not going to change, but the way you see the concept you have of yourself in this world is going to change completely. And you will start moving differently once you change the lens. And when I think of it, I have a camera, a Nikon camera, and I don't use the same lens uh, for the same type of pictures that I want. If I want nature and the outdoors, I have a certain lens for that. So I invite you, imagine you are changing the lens with which you view yourself. You are creating a new concept. You are creating a new way of thinking about who you are and what you like and the boundaries you're setting and the choices you're making and the options that you have and the things that you will not negotiate with. Um, the standards you're setting for yourself. The way, as a matter of fact, there's this woman, she shared that, she wants a complete makeover. Oh my gosh, but she's so beautiful. And what she did, she buzzed her head. She buzzed it. Buzz, I guess is what they call it. Completely bald. The woman is so beautiful. It doesn't matter whether she has hair or not. She looks so beautiful, but she looks totally different. Not only does she look different, but her attitude has changed. She went out, she bought a new wardrobe, new makeup, and she is as a matter of fact, she's an inspiration. She is a completely different woman because this journey, she said, is for me. And as a matter of fact, she buzzed her head without asking or not asking, or even asking the opinion of her immediate family. And when she came home, her spouse was not happy with it at all. That's what she wanted to do. Now, she's a beautiful woman. I mean, regardless of what she did, she's just simply a beautiful woman. That's not the point. The point is she made a decision. That's what she wanted to do. Hair grows back. There's no issue with that. But she did it. She went ahead and buzzed her head. She made a decision for herself. She said, and she shared, in the past, I would be asking everyone, I would be taking a poll. I would be asking family members and friends and acquaintances and associates and my children and the husband and the dog. I would be asking, that's what she said. She said she would be asking the opinion of everyone. Should I do this? Should I do this? Not? No, no, no. What she did, she got this app. She got this app, an app that kind of tells you what hairstyle would look best on you or whatever. And anyway, I don't know how she did it, but after she saw the different choices, she didn't like any of them, and she just thought that she would buzz it. And she did. And she is happy with her new self. That's a choice that she made. When you see a woman moving in that vein, is because they're expanding. They are knowing my friend, when you discover the truth of yourself, it's a whole different type of upgrade. We upgrade our thinking, our way of thinking, and we upgrade the lens through which we see ourselves. Now, those were external changes that she made, but the things that we are changing internally, and she got the chutzpah, the boldness to just go out and do that. But she thinks totally different. She says, I see myself totally different. She feels confident, assertive, bold. She doesn't second guess herself. She's making decisions for herself and the decisions that she needs to make within the community of her family life. And she's happy. You see, that's the thing, my friend. I always say that the purpose of life is pleasure. And when you start doing things that are pleasing to you, that are satisfying to you, that are helpful to you, that prioritizes yourself, that brings you pleasure. Pleasure is not just going out and having a good time. That's part of it also. But I'm talking about the subtle things, the changes that you make for yourself. It is all about you, my friend. It is all about yourself. And you arrive at this place unapologetically. Don't apologize for being you. Don't apologize for wanting more. Don't apologize for wanting to expand. Don't apologize for being curious. Don't apologize for thinking outside of the box. Get rid of the box. Don't apologize for having a new way of seeing things. Don't apologize for getting away from tradition. Imagine what that can do to your life. Whatever it is that pleases you. It's not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong. Whatever it is that pleases you. When you stand up and stop negotiating your worth, what happens is that you redesign your standards, and it's like you return home. You come back home to yourself. That's the place where you reside, back home to yourself. You're not acting, behaving, or comporting yourself to please other people. You're not trying to fit in. Why? Because you know where home is. You're not afraid to be alone with yourself. You don't second guess yourself. You don't doubt your intuition. You take a chance, you take risk. And at the same time, you accept full responsibility and You stand in total accountability for the decisions that you make. And, sometimes you may blow it. And it's not even blow it. Sometimes a decision that you make, there may be a lesson in it. That means it didn't come out the way you anticipated. And that is okay. Your freedom goes as far as you need it to go, as long as you do not infringe on the freedom or the well-being of someone else. So you're free to make whatever decisions you want to make. You are free to do whatever you want to do. Again, you stand in full accountability. You become accountable for whatever decisions you make. But with all that is, excuse me, self-authorship. You become the author of the decisions, the things that pertains to your life. It's a great drink of water. So the thing is, when you stand up to your own standards, because you see, the standard of your life reveals the things that you have accepted in your life. It's a total reflection on the things you have accepted in all of our lives. Where we are, the quality of the life that we live today, the quality of the life that you live, it's a direct reflection on the things that you have permitted, the things that you have allowed. And if you have been engaging in seeding and letting things pass by, remember, you settle, you endure, accept, and tolerate. We no longer sit. I invite you to stand up. To stand up and do not remain sitting, because when you remain sitting is accepting breadcrumbs. You settle, you endure, you accept, and you tolerate. There are so many other options in life. I was about to say, I don't want to go through life, and I encourage you not to go through life settling, because settling is a form of survival. You settle for the bare minimum. You settle for breadcrumbs, and then you endure, you endure scarcity. You accept the bare minimum, and then you tolerate it over and over and over and over. That is not the definition of thriving, flourishing in life. And that's your whole objective. When you come back home to yourself, that is a place of joy. That is a place of peace. That is a place of contentment. You come back to yourself. It's a returning to home. You are coming back home to who you are. And nobody knows where that place is other than yourself. Nobody knows where home is other than yourself. Coming home to yourself, it says, changes everything. Because people who remember who they are, they stop negotiating with what diminishes them. When you know who you are, you stop negotiating with the things that diminish you. When you know who you are. And that happens, now that we're going through this journey of self-examination, we are using a lens. We are using a lens to see. There are lenses that's wide angle and some that are zoom, and they're just different types of lens. I am using a wide angle lens at this time because I want to see it all. Every area of my life I am examining. And what is happening is that I am building. I am the architect of my life. I am the architect of my identity. Because if I, as I have shared before, our identity in all cases have been shaped by inherited beliefs. And that happens through society, through the culture, through religion, family, parents, school, teachers. It is shaped by all external sources. But when you return home and you start identifying uh, who you are, recognizing your qualities, characteristic, standards, personality, the things that you like, you don't like, and start discriminating based on your own taste. They're in, shaping an identity that's true to you, your authentic self. So you don't have to think. And you're not what I am also realizing is that, as you continue to expand this whole idea of returning home and self-examination, your circle is going to shrink. Why? Because, again, I don't recognize that person. I don't recognize that Cynthia of yesterday. She's changed. Cynthia a month ago has changed. Not even, I would not even say change. I have become so aware of another depth of myself, of who I am. And the more I learn about me, the more I love what I learn. I change, I modify, I adjust, I correct, I cancel, I eliminate. There are so many things that are going on in my own personal life that I absolutely love it, because again, the best relationship you will ever have, is the relationship you have with yourself. And again, once you get to know you, and you are able to sit with yourself, you don't feel alone or lonely, or no, you start appreciating the silence, the presence of self, the presence of yourself. Feels good. And then, just imagine you go out into the world, uh and you show up being the person that you are, the confidence that you have to meet, to greet, to get to know people, and you know when to be silent, you know when to how to engage with people of any level, how to engage them, how to make people feel, because you know what it's like being yourself. You listen more keenly, you're more patient, you scan quickly, look for the qualities in that person. I do that a lot. I can look at someone and I can find something and to admire, or if they're sharing something, there's always something that stands out about anyone that you're chatting with. It makes you so seasoned, so likable, so precise, so kind. It just reshapes your entire framework. A journey of self examination, and the things that you don't like. There were a lot of comments of people that are in relationships that are going through a dating situation, and they meet somebody, and they're not sure, and the person is sending mixed signals. You're not set up for mixed signals. Because if somebody is interested in you, my friend, they are clear about their purpose, about their intentions. If somebody sends you a mixed signal, that's a signal. Keep it moving. You keep it moving. That's the thing as well. You make decisions for yourself. Even if you think you like that person and so forth, it doesn't matter. You make decisions for yourself. Because if somebody is sending you, when somebody is interested in you, look, you become a priority. And if you are not priority in somebody's life, then that person really is not interested in you. You may be a convenience for that person. You may be a convenience for that person, but not a priority. But then by now, you would know your worth and the value of who you are. And you would know that you are not going to take a seat with this relationship. Take a seat to settle, to endure, to accept or tolerate. Why? Because you're going to have standards and boundaries that you will follow. Why? Because you have come back home. You have come back home to honor self. You're coming back home to honor yourself. But the thing is, you've got to be honest with yourself. There's certain people that are not honest with themselves. There's certain people that are not honest with themselves, and they make excuses and try to redefine and give a pass and just tolerate. Why? Because of fear of losing. Some people find comfort in a relationship the way it is. They say, let's not rock the boat. Don't upset the apple cart, something like that. The only boat we are rocking is the boat of self-examination. Because when we learn something new about ourselves, we're going to take action. We will take action. I read one of the soccer match, the World Cup just ended a couple days ago. And one of the players, these guys, they're just so skilled. This soccer, I grew up with that, knowing about soccer. The point is, one of the players, in the championship, and he said he was talking about the way people were asking. He was in an interview, and he said yes, because I think more highly of myself than most people do. And I was having a conversation with with someone, and she said, and I said, I knew why I liked this guy so much. And I didn't know that interview. I learned it later, but there was just something about him, a certain essence, a certain thing about this player, a certain aura, a certain sense of confidence of this person. I followed him, and I just thought there's just something about. And then when I saw the interview, as a matter of fact, it was yesterday, and he said, I think, and he said it with such conviction. He said, I think more highly of myself than most people do. And he said that, as a matter of fact, and those are exactly my thoughts. As a matter of fact, the person that I had a conversation with, they said, yeah, there's just great chemistry. There's just something that you perceive of this person and so forth, why you like them so much as a player. And they were correct. But I like that whole thought. This person said, I think more more. They said more higher, much higher. They said more higher of myself than most people do. And I am always saying that you've got to think high of yourself, because if you don't, who will? You've got to think that you are the best of who you are. You don't compare, you don't compete. That's not, you don't, whatever someone else wants to be, they can go ahead and be that. Why? Because there's no room where I stand for two of us. Where I am, that's why they asked him, they said, so who do you want to become? Like, the two greatest players, Messi or Ronaldo Cristiano? And he said, well, each player are very unique. I'm paraphrasing. Each player is very unique in who they are. And Messi is the best of Messi, and Ronaldo is the best of Ronaldo. And I just applaud that, because I thought, when I was listening to the interview, I thought, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't say I want to be like this one or that one. No, absolutely not. You are yourself. It's just like in the tennis match when Coco Golf was coming up, and they said, oh yeah, that's the new Serena Williams. And I'm like, absolutely not. No. That is Coco Golf with her own talent, her ability, her expertise, her skills. That is Coco Golf. Serena is Serena. You can't say, oh, I want to be like this person. As a matter of fact, somebody met me and they said, oh my gosh, you are the next Oprah. There's something to that. No. I admire Oprah and her accomplishments and all that, but I'm not no Oprah. I am Cynthia Linox. This is the Cynthia Linox Show. And I am unique in who I am, my delivery, my philosophy, the things that I stand for, my standards, boundary. I am Cynthia Linox. I am like no one else. No. And I am not, there's so many people that I admire, Renee Brown, is it Brown? Brenner? Renee Brown, I think it's Renee Brown, and yes, Oprah, and so many others that I admire, and I can glean from them and so forth. But I don't want to be like anyone else. Why? Absolutely not. I don't want to be like anyone else. Then what will I do with my uniqueness, my skills, my expertise, my talent? What will I do with that? Just put it to rest and try to be like someone else? Absolutely not. See, when you show up, my friend, you show up with vibes, with energy, with a certain frequency that align with your audience. And whoever your audience are, whoever the people are that listen to you, those are the people that you align with. Those are the people that are assigned to you. Those that are not, they just keep scrolling, and that is okay. Because I'm not here to antagonize anyone. I'm here to just share with you ways that you can expand, evolve, and better your life, the person of who you are. Come into a place of authenticity and live an organic life, and start reframing your thinking to flourish, to thrive, to abound, to live in abundance, and to know that you can, and that you have the tools to make it happen. You have the tools, you have the ability, you have the creativity to make it happen. You can make it happen. You will make it happen. And as we continue to go through this journey of self-examination, again, we started with the journey of self-discovery, and that was a period, lasted perhaps a year, but we are just now entering into this journey of self-examination. And little did I know, there is so much to learn and to absorb from this journey. There's just so much, because there's just so much to us. As I am expanding in my knowledge and so forth, I'm looking into all areas as I evolve. even in my physical being. I am paying attention to things that are hormonal, things that are, the dopamine, the oxytocin, that, I want to make sure. And it's not that, I want to know how everything works and to keep things working. It's fascinating. You've got to know. It's everything about yourself, not just mentally, psychologically, emotionally, but physically as well. Mentally, you have to know how your mind thinks. Thoughts are not thoughts. All we can do, or what we do with thoughts, is to filter thoughts. But sometimes thoughts come into your mind that you can't even help it. But what you can do is filter it, get it out. If it doesn't serve you any good, you get rid of it. Your emotions, what do you do with that? How do you regulate your emotions? How do you keep your emotions regulated? Do you depend on your kids to feed you emotionally? What if they don't call? What do you do with that? Do you get all bent out of shape, or do you try to breadcrumb the situation by putting out more? The reciprocity is not leveled, it's not balanced, and that happens. As a matter of fact, there is this there are so many people that I come in touch with. There's this woman that really has this situation with all of her kids. I think she may have had like 6 kids or something like that, and she is so set about not having contact with them because evidently they really dysregulate her nervous system, the way they treat her. She did a lot of sacrifices for them, and they show no appreciation, based on the things that she's shared and so forth. And she has this thing, but she, in her mind, she has already cut the cords, and that's her thing. And she's doing what works for her. She has a good marriage, and her husband is protective of her emotions, and so she's not breadcrumbing over there, even though she would love to hear from the kids, and and consequently, not only did she cut off the kids, but she cut off the grandkids as well, because she said, yeah, they are descendants of the kids, and if she's not going to bother with the kids, she's not going to bother with the grandkids. She's not breadcrumbing at all. She's not breadcrumbing, and she's not accepting the bare minimum. She's not doing it. She has made that clear. Oh gosh, have she made that clear? She has made that clear. And that's a good thing, because then, you get to know who you are, and you get to know who you are. And once you come home to yourself, that's a safe place. Fortunately for her, she has a husband that's understanding, and and nourishes her emotions. But I think even if she didn't, she has reached a point of knowing her worth and her value, that she is able to make a decision that's going to work for her. I wish the same for you, my friend. As you go through this journey of self-examination and the journey of identity architecture, that you will discover the things that will really create a framework of the true you, so that you can walk in your authenticity and live organically. I'm going to leave you with that until next week. I kind of like this subject of breadcrumbing, because it is so graphic, and it's so self-explanatory on how it applies to our lives. But anyway, we meet every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here. And if you can't meet me here on Thursdays, you see these icons: Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You could pick up the feed on those platforms 24/7, anytime. In the meantime, I'm going to say ta-ta. Tomorrow's Friday. Whatever you do, have a fantastic weekend. Last weekend was I was celebrating a birthday, and it got so busy, so we did not even get a chance to to do something special. So this weekend is going to be my celebration, and I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, my friend, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you same time, uh, same place next Thursday, right here on the Cynthia Linox Show. Ciao. If you need to drop me a note, the email address is right there, info at the Cynthia Linox show.com, and I'll respond to you. Ta-ta, my friend. I'll see you next same time.